Laura had always been a private person, but moving to a foreign country had made her crave companionship. She and her boyfriend David had decided to take the plunge and start a new life together, far from the comfort of their hometown. They were immigrants in a bustling city trying to navigate the challenges of living abroad while balancing their relationship. It wasn't easy. The distance from home, the cultural differences, and the financial struggles weighed heavily on Laura. She missed her family, her childhood friends, and the familiarity of her village back home. It was during one of these lonely moments that she met Z. Z was also from Laura's hometown. They shared the same language, culture, and experiences, which made their bond feel instant and natural. To Laura, Z felt like a slice of home in a foreign land. The two women quickly became friends, spending hours together reminiscing about their childhood, talking about their families, and navigating the challenges of life abroad. Laura found comfort in Z's presence. She believed that Z, being from the same village and facing the same challenges as an immigrant, understood her in ways that no one else could. It wasn't long before Laura began opening up about the struggles in her relationship with David. David and Laura had been together for several years, but living in a new country had put a strain on their relationship. They fought more frequently, often over money or their future plans. Z would always ask Laura about David, inquiring about their arguments, how he treated her, and even more about their intimate moments. Laura, desperate for support, believed she had found a true confidant in Z. Little did she know that Z had her own intentions. Z appeared to be the perfect friend. She would listen attentively as Laura poured out her heart about her frustrations with David. Z's questions were always pointed, as if she were trying to gather as much information as possible. "Why did David say that to you? Does he even care about your feelings?" Z would ask, her voice dripping with concern. Laura didn't suspect anything at first. She thought Z was genuinely trying to help her navigate the rocky terrain of her relationship. Z offered advice, but it often seemed extreme. "You need to stand up for yourself," she would say. "Men like David only change when they feel threatened. Don't let him take advantage of you." Z's advice was always about escalating the conflict, making Laura more confrontational with David. The arguments between Laura and David grew worse. The once small disagreements turned into major fights. Laura didn't understand why things were spiraling out of control, but she continued to confide in Z, thinking she had her best interests at heart. What Laura didn't know was that Z had her own issues in her relationship with her boyfriend. Unlike Laura, Z kept those issues hidden. She never shared her personal problems with Laura or anyone else. Instead, she found satisfaction in making Laura's problems seem bigger than her own. If Laura's relationship seemed worse than Z's, it made Z feel better about her own struggles. Behind Laura's back, Z was sharing every detail of her private life with other women from their hometown who had also migrated to the city. These women were part of a gossip circle, and Z was the one feeding them all the juicy details about Laura's life. Laura's personal struggles became entertainment for others, as Z painted a picture of Laura as a woman in a failing relationship, making poor decisions based on Z's manipulative advice. As time passed, Lara started noticing subtle changes in the way other women from their community treated her. Whenever she attended gatherings or social events, there would be side glances, whispered conversations that stopped when she entered the room, and awkward silences when she tried to join in. Lara didn't understand why people were acting differently around her, but she brushed it off as her own insecurities. One evening, Lara was invited to a casual get-together with a few women from their hometown. As she sat in the corner, listening to the others chat, she was shocked to overhear snippets of conversations about her own relationship. They were discussing the exact arguments she had had with David, down to the smallest details she had only ever shared with Z. Her heart pounded in her chest as the realization hit her. Z had betrayed her. The woman she had trusted, the woman she had confided in, was the one spreading her private matters all over the community. The more she listened, the more apparent it became that Z had turned her personal struggles into a public spectacle. Lara felt a wave of humiliation wash over her. She felt exposed, vulnerable, and foolish for having trusted Z so deeply. The pain of betrayal stung even more because Z had pretended to be her friend, had acted like a sister from their hometown, only to use her as gossip material. The worst part was that Z never shared her own problems. Lara had been an open book, but Z's life remained a closed, locked door. Lara realized several moments when Z had been so inquisitive was because she was sharing her information with others. Lara felt a sense of guilt and shame for trusting someone with so much information, but she felt more regrets for not being able to find out who Z has truly been, but only to have confided in who Z has pretended to be. Lara lost all appetite and sleep. She couldn't tell anyone else about this because her trust has been completely eroded. She knew she needed to take an action, but she wanted to make sure it would be the right one, as she cannot afford to make the same mistakes twice.
Never thought it would be so hard. I grew up without a scar.
Lara couldn't bear the weight of the betrayal any longer.
No big worry.
The next day, she had asked Z to meet her at one of their favorite coffee shops after work. Z showed up pretending as usual, running into Lara to give her a hug, and called her darling and love of her life. Lara played along but was at boiling point on the inside. She wanted to ask Z in a very nice way. Z continued to pretend to her face. Z did not waste time to ask about Lara's relationship again. And that was when Lara became so irritated, she had no choice but to confront Z in the only way she knew, directly. Lara got straight to the point. "Why did you tell everyone about my relationship with David?" Lara asked, her voice shaking with a mix of anger and sadness. Z, taken aback, tried to deny it at first. "What are you talking about, Lara? I would never do that," she said, pretending to be innocent. But Lara wasn't having it. She had heard the gossip with her own ears, and she knew Z was the only one she had shared those personal details with. "I trusted you," Lara continued. "I thought you were my friend. But you've been sharing my life with people who don't care about me, people who are now laughing at my pain." Z noticed she has been cornered, couldn't keep up the act for long. She tried to justify her actions by saying she was only trying to help, that she didn't mean for things to get out of hand. But Lara wasn't interested in excuses. She saw Z for what she really was, a manipulator, someone who thrived on the misery of others while hiding her own flaws. Lara walked out of the coffee shop that day with a heavy heart, but with a newfound clarity. Z was not a friend. She was someone who had taken advantage of her vulnerability, and Lara knew she needed to cut ties completely. After cutting Z out of her life, Lara realized that she still needed someone to talk to, someone who wouldn't betray her trust or use her secrets against her. She had heard about counseling from a few colleagues and decided to seek professional help. At first, Lara was hesitant. She had grown up in a culture where sharing personal problems with a stranger, especially a counselor, was not common. But she knew she couldn't handle everything on her own. The weight of her relationship issues with David, combined with the betrayal she had faced from Z, was too much to bear. Her first session with a counselor was eye-opening. For the first time, Lara felt truly heard without judgment or ulterior motives. The counselor helped her see her situation from a different perspective and gave her practical tools to improve her communication with David. More importantly, the counselor helped her understand the importance of boundaries, of being selective with whom she shared her innermost thoughts. Over time, Lara's relationship with David began to improve. With the help of the counselor, they worked through their issues and learned how to communicate better. The absence of Z's toxic influence allowed Lara to focus on her own healing and growth. She no longer felt the need to confide in someone who didn't have her best interests at heart. Lara also learned the value of privacy. She realized that not everyone who asks about your problems genuinely cares about helping you. Some people, like Z, thrive on gossip and use your pain as entertainment. Lara's journey taught her one of the most important lessons of her life. Not everyone deserves access to your personal life. She no longer felt the need to overshare or seek validation from others. Instead, she kept her circle small, confiding only in those she knew she could trust, like her counselor and her closest family members. Looking back, Lara was grateful for the lesson. Z's betrayal had hurt, but it had also made her stronger, more cautious, and more self-reliant. She had learned the hard way that the less you share with people, the better you protect yourself from unnecessary pain and drama. And with that, Lara was finally able to move forward, confident in her own strength and the knowledge that not everyone who smiles at you is your friend.